Arsenal can do the treble, but do they really need Sandro Tonali? Let's be honest with each other for a minute. Being an Arsenal fan is not easy. It never has been. Just when you start to believe, just when you allow yourself to dream a little, something happens. You know what we are talking about. That feeling in your stomach every time things start to go well. That little voice in your head that says, hold on, do not get too excited yet. And yet here we are at the end of March 2026 and Arsenal are still alive in 3 competitions. 3. So before anything else, let us just take a moment and appreciate that because it is genuinely something special. Yes, the Carabao Cup final hurt. Yes, watching Manchester City lift another trophy while Pep Guardiola smiled his way through his post-match interview was painful. But the story is not over, not even close. In fact, the most exciting chapters might still be ahead of us. So let us get into it. Let us talk about the treble, the Champions League, the teams that could stop Arsenal from making history, and the big transfer question that everyone in the Arsenal community is talking about right now. Does Mikel Arteta really need Sandro Tonali? The Carabao Cup hurt, but it is time to move on. The game ended 2-0 to Manchester City. That is the simple truth of it. Pep Guardiola became a 5-time Carabao Cup winner, and Arsenal left Wembley with nothing but a lesson. But here is the thing. The Carabao Cup, while a great trophy to win, is not the one Arsenal fans have been dreaming about for years. The Premier League title matters. The FA Cup matters. And the Champions League, that beautiful, dramatic, unpredictable competition that Arsenal have never won, that matters more than anything right now. Former Arsenal player Paul Merson, who knows a thing or two about wearing the red and white, has come out and said he still believes Arsenal can win the league, the FA Cup, and the Champions League this season. Think about that for a second. The treble, in the post-Wenger era, that has never been done before by this club. It would be one of the greatest achievements in Arsenal history. So yes, the Carabao Cup loss stings, but let us wipe our eyes, lift our heads up, and focus on what is still possible. The bookmakers still believe in Arsenal, do you? Here is something that should make every Arsenal fan feel a little better. The bookmakers, who are not in the business of being kind to us, still have Arsenal as favourites to win the Champions League. Royal Sports and Ladbrokes both have the Gunners at 9/4 odds to win the whole thing. When you look at the teams still in the competition, that is a serious statement of faith from the betting world. And you know what they say, the bookies do not get it wrong very often. So why do they still believe in Arsenal? Well, part of it comes down to the draw. Arsenal face Sporting Lisbon in the quarterfinals. Sporting are listed at 66/1 with Ladbrokes and 50/1 with Royal Sports. Those are not the odds of a team that anyone seriously thinks can go all the way. With all due respect to Sporting, they are not Real Madrid, they are not Bayern Munich, and they are not Barcelona. Arsenal, on paper, have the most comfortable route to the semi-finals of any team left in the competition. But, and this is a big but, we have all seen what happens when Arsenal take games for granted. We have all been through those nights where a game that looked straightforward suddenly became a crisis. So the question for you, the Arsenal community, is this. Do you trust Arteta to keep the players focused and professional against Sporting, or do you worry that the hangover from the Carabao Cup final could affect the performance? It is a fair question. Arsenal will be hurting after that City defeat. Sometimes hurt drives a team forward, sometimes it leaves them flat. Which version of Arsenal shows up in these quarter-final legs will tell us a lot about how the rest of the season goes. Who could stop Arsenal in the Champions League? Let us look at the other teams still in the competition, because if Arsenal do beat Sporting, the road gets much harder from there. Harry Kane and Bayern Munich. Since Harry Kane moved to Bayern Munich, he has been absolutely on fire. The man just scores goals. It does not matter who the opponent is, what the occasion is, or how much pressure is on the game. Kane delivers. Bayern are currently second favourites to win the Champions League at 3/1 with Ladbrokes and 10/3 with Royal Sports. They face Real Madrid next, which is a massive clash in itself. But if Bayern get through that, and with Kane in this kind of form they absolutely could, then Arsenal could be facing their former striker in the semi-finals. There is something a little uncomfortable about that thought, is there not? Kane leaving for Bayern was a talking point for a long time. Arsenal were linked with him for years, and it never happened. Now he is one of the best strikers in Europe, playing for one of the best teams in Europe. If those two sides meet in the semis, it will be one of the most emotionally charged nights in recent Arsenal history. Barcelona and their 7-1 statement. Barcelona are third favourites at 9/2 with both Royal Sports and Ladbrokes. And honestly, watching what they did to Newcastle United recently, it is hard to argue with that price. A 7-1 demolition of Newcastle was not just a win, it was a statement. It told the rest of Europe that Barcelona, with Rafinha in brilliant form, with the young and fearless Lamine Yamal on the wing, and with 37-year-old Robert Lewandowski still somehow finding the net, are a completely different team under Hansi Flick. Barcelona are also leading La Liga with a 4-point cushion at the top, which mirrors Arsenal's own position in the Premier League. Two teams who are used to winning right now, two teams full of confidence, two teams who believe this is their year. If Arsenal face Barcelona in the semis, that 7-1 win over Newcastle will be in the back of every Arsenal fan's mind. English sides have not been covering themselves in glory against Barcelona recently. Arsenal, though, are a different kind of English side. They play football the right way, they are organised, they press high, and they have match winners throughout the team. It will be a brilliant tie. PSG, the reigning champions, do not forget about Paris Saint-Germain. They are the current holders of the Champions League trophy, and they showed in the round of 16 exactly why they are so dangerous. PSG beat Chelsea home and away, scoring 8 goals across the 2 legs, 8 goals against the Premier League side. That is a level of ruthlessness that demands respect. Both Ladbrokes and Boyle Sports have PSG at 11 halves, making them the 4th favourites. They are top of League One as well, although Lens are right behind them and only 1 point back, with PSG holding a game in hand. That domestic pressure could be a factor as the season reaches its final weeks. Still, PSG, as reigning champions with that kind of attacking firepower, cannot be overlooked. If Arsenal meet them, it will be a very different challenge to anything they face in the Premier League. Real Madrid always show up, and then there is Real Madrid. Currently 8/1 with Boyle Sports and 15 halves with Ladbrokes, Los Blancos are not the favourites they once were, but you write them off at your peril. Kylian Mbappe is starting to find his form again, and Jude Bellingham, England's brightest young talent, is doing the same. When those two are clicking, Real Madrid are as dangerous as anyone in world football. Real face Bayern in their quarter-final, which means one of those two giants will be knocked out before the semis. That is actually good news for Arsenal because whoever comes through that tie will have been through a war. Arsenal versus an already tired Bayern or Real Madrid in the last 4 is a scenario the Gunners should back themselves in. Now let us talk about Sandro Tonali, right? Let us shift gears and talk about the transfer story that is getting a lot of attention in the Arsenal community right now. Arsenal have been linked with a move for Sandro Tonali, the Newcastle United midfielder. Reports suggest Arsenal were actually offered the chance to sign him in January and that they view him as a high-quality addition to the squad. And look, on paper, Tonali is a fantastic footballer. He has been consistent for Newcastle, he is technically very good, he reads the game well, and he is still young enough to get even better. But former England international Chris Waddle has raised a question that a lot of Arsenal fans are probably thinking about too. And that question is simple. Do Arsenal actually need Tonali? Waddle pointed out that Tonali is actually quite similar in profile to Declan Rice. He is consistent with his passing, he has a good engine, he can shoot, and he brings stability to the midfield. Those are all things that sound brilliant on paper, but here is the issue. Arsenal already have Declan Rice doing exactly those things and doing them brilliantly. Rice has been one of Arsenal's best players since he signed. He is a leader, he covers ground, he protects the defence, he contributes going forward. He has become the kind of player that opposition teams plan specifically around. And now Arsenal are reportedly interested in bringing in someone who plays a very similar role. Is that a problem? Well, it depends on how you look at it. There is an argument that having 2 players of that quality competing for the same position makes the squad better overall. Depth matters, especially when you are chasing a treble and playing games every few days. If Rice picks up an injury or if he needs to be rested at a crucial moment, having Tonali ready to step in without a drop in quality would be genuinely reassuring. And there is also the argument that great teams have multiple world-class players in every position. When you are competing on 4 fronts at the start of a season, or 3 as Arsenal now are, you cannot rely on 11 players to do everything. You need quality from the bench. You need players who can come on and change games. But then again, Waddle has a point too. Squad balance is important. If you have 2 players competing for essentially the same role, one of them is going to end up frustrated. And a frustrated player, especially a talented one, is a problem in any dressing room. Sandro Tonali is not the kind of player who will be happy sitting on the bench every week. He wants to play, he deserves to play, and if Arsenal sign him, there will be weeks where he does not start and that could become awkward. What does Newcastle think? Newcastle are, as you would expect, not exactly rushing to sell. They have built a really good squad over the past couple of years and Tonali is a big part of that. Losing him to a direct rival in the Premier League will be painful for them and they know it. Any deal will cost Arsenal a very significant amount of money and it would not be straightforward at all. So the question for the Arsenal community is this. Is Tonali the right signing for this club right now, or is there a different kind of player Arsenal should be looking at? Someone who fills a gap rather than doubling up on what they already have. A player who offers something different, whether that is more creativity, more pace or more aerial presence, might make more sense in terms of squad balance. But then again, if the price is right and Arteta believes Tonali makes the squad better, who are we to argue with the manager who has taken Arsenal to the brink of a historic treble? So what happens next? It is a brilliant time to be an Arsenal fan. It genuinely is. The Champions League quarterfinals are coming up. The Premier League title race is alive. The FA Cup run continues. And there is a transfer saga bubbling away in the background to keep things interesting in the meantime. Arsenal face Sporting Lisbon with the full belief of the bookmakers behind them. Beyond that, there are world-class opponents waiting: Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, Barcelona or Atletico, PSG with their frightening forward line. None of it will be easy, but this Arsenal under Arteta have shown time and again that they are capable of rising to big moments. The squad is deep, the tactics are clear, the belief is there, and if Arsenal can stay healthy, stay focused, and carry the quality they have shown in patches this season across a consistent run of big games, then Paul Merson might just be right. The treble is not a dream, it is a real possibility, and that is something no Arsenal fan in the post-Wenger era has ever been able to say with a straight face before now. So here is the final question for you. Do you think this is finally the year? And while you are at it, would you sign Tonali in the summer, or would you spend that money elsewhere? The answers to those questions might just shape what kind of season this turns out to be. But one thing is for certain, we are watching something special unfold. Enjoy it, embrace it, and for once, let yourself believe, because this Arsenal team has earned that much from every single one of us.